Good day to everyone. We are now in topic 3, e-learning or technology in alternative delivery systems. Particularly, we are going to talk about introduction to web-based instruction, and I am your discussant for this topic. My name is John Lloyd Artoroma and I am from BS Ed Mathematics 4101. First, let us define the web-based instruction. So web-based instruction is an innovative approach for delivering instruction to a remote audience using the World Wide Web as the instructional delivery system. That is according to Khan in 1997. So web-based instruction ay ginagamit siya sa pag-deliver ng instruction or pag-deliver ng learning sa iyong mga audience na malalayo or sa students mo na malalayo using World Wide Web as your instructional delivery system. So yun lang yun. Ginagamit siya sa pag-deliver ng instruction sa mga audience mo or sa mga students mo na malalayo using World Wide Web. And we have three categories of web-based instruction. Number one is augmented learning. Augmented learning is used to extend the physical classroom in order to supplement face-to-face instruction. Augmented learning, siya yung ginagamit para magkaroon ng supplement yung face-to-face instruction. Pwedeng ito yung virtual reality, kung familiar kayo doon. Kaso lang yung virtual reality, ginagamit siya sa mga games, while augmented learning ay ginagamit siya for learning. Tinatawag din siyang augmented reality. The second category is blended learning. Blended learning is an instructional method of delivery that combines web-based instruction with face-to-face classroom instruction. Blended learning, ito naman yung combination ng modular or face-to-face and online learning. And kadalasan tinatawag din siyang hybrid learning. The last category is online learning. Online learning takes place remotely in asynchronous and synchronous communication. So online learning, ito yung meeting through virtual or nagamit tayo ng internet or ng Google Meet, ng Google Classroom. So yun yung online learning. Nangyayari ang online learning gamit yung mga laptops natin, mga cellphones, gamit yung online world. And I have here pictures para mas maintindihan nyo kung ano ba yung tinutukoy ko. Dito sa aking upper left corner, nandito yung augmented learning. So makikita nyo siya, meron siya dyang suot na gadget. And ito yung tinutukoy ko na para siyang virtual reality. Kaso nga lang, yung augmented learning, ginagamit siya sa pag-aaral. And blended learning, makikita naman natin sa picture, kalahati online, kalahati sabihin natin modular or kung face-to-face o kung ano mang ginagawa niya. Basta combination siya ng online and modular or kung face-to-face. Kaya siya tinawag na blended or hybrid learning. At yung dalawang picture na nasa baba, yun naman yung online learning. Ito naman yung ginagamit natin kapag distance learning or kadalasan siyang tinatawag na e-learning. At ito yung web-based instruction. Ngayon, ginagamit to kapag gusto mo mag-deliver ng instruction sa mga students mo na malalayo sa'yo. Next, we have types of web-based instruction. Itong types na to ay sa online learning. We have the asynchronous and synchronous. Asynchronous learning allows you to learn on your own schedule within a certain time frame. You can access and complete lectures, readings, homework, and other learning materials at any time. So, asynchronous, ito yung magbibigay si teacher ng learning materials and ikaw yung magde-decide sa sarili mo kung kailan mo siya papanoorin or gagawin. Ito kadalasan yung mga nasa Google Classroom natin na walang due date or walang deadline. While synchronous learning means that although you will be learning from a distance, you will virtually attend a class session each week at the same time as your instructor and classmates. Synchronous naman, ito yung kailangang pag-usapan ng professor or teacher at ng students para ma-determine nila or magkaroon sila ng kasunduan kung anong oras nila gagawin yung synchronous. Ngayon, Sa synchronous, kailangan responsible ka kasi kailangan mong umattend that same time and that same day. Kasi kung hindi ka makaka-attend, magkakaroon ka ng absence. So, ganun nangyayari yung synchronous. And I know familiar naman kayo sa asynchronous and synchronous. Now, we have here web-based teaching. Web teaching is all about making connections, connecting your students to one another and to resources around the world. So, web-based teaching is about connections or making connections. Connections of teacher to students, students to teacher, and students to students. So, kailangan ma-maximize natin yung gamit ng web-based instruction sa ating pagtuturo in making connections sa iba, sa ating mga students. And it is combining different materials, whether it be music, motion, text, or narration into one presentation. So, kagaya ng ginagawa natin, nagawa tayo ng PowerPoint presentation, ng Word documents, ng videos. So, yun yung gamit nung web-based instruction sa pagtuturo. Kaya dapat tayong mga future educator, equip tayo pagdating sa online world. Kasi hindi pwedeng mas matalino pa sa atin yung ating mga students. Kasi pagtatawanan tayo ng ating mga students sa field, no? Gagawin nila tayong katatawanan kung tayo mismo ay hindi equipped. It is collecting related information from multiple sources. So ito na, kailangan maalam tayong mag-collect ng related information from multiple sources. And naniniwala ako dito tayo magagaling lahat tayong mga future educator. Mag-collect ng information from multiple sources and gawan natin siya or explain natin siya, lagyan natin siya ng relationship sa isa't isa. It enables students to make their own connections by offering materials for download and use in their scholarship or by having them construct web documents as part of their coursework. And this process of making meaningful connection is at the core of all learning. Sabi dito, this process of making meaningful connections is at the core of all learning. So, make sure natin na tuwing magkakaroon ng connection tayo sa ating mga student, tayong mga future educator, make sure natin na meaningful yung connection natin sa kanila. So, paano yung magiging meaningful? First, kamustahin natin sila. 'Di ba? Ano ba man yung tanong natin sila kung kumain na sila, yung kamusta yung bakasyon nila, kamusta yung weekends nila, 'di ba? Napakalaking bagay nun sa student. For them, yun ay meaningful connection, yung mag-alala ka sa kanila. And another thing, kapag yung tinuturo natin sa kanila ay mapapabuti sa kanila. And kung yung tinuturo natin ay naiintindihan ba nila or appropriate ba para sa kanila. Like for example, yung mga gamit nating illustration, mga examples, appropriate ba sa edad nila? And meaningful connection is at the core of all learning. Siya yung para bang pinaka-konsepto, pinaka-gitna ng lahat ng pagkatuto. And kailangan natin na magkaroon ng meaningful connection sa ating mga students. Next, we have web-based learning. Web-based learning is often called online learning or e-learning because it includes online course content. Discussion forums via email, video conferencing, and live lectures or video streaming are all possible through the web. Web-based courses may also provide static pages such as printed course or materials. Web-based learning, kadalasan tinatawag siyang online learning or e-learning or electronic learning kasi nagsasama to or nag-i-include to ng mga online course content. For example, yung ating discussion via Google Meet or video conferencing, nagamit tayo ng Zoom or nag-edit tayo ng video, ipinanood natin. So that is web-based learning. Or nagawa tayo ng pictures, isinad natin sa kanila. So yun yung web-based learning. And nawa yung matutunan sa atin ng mga student natin ay maganda gamit yung web-based instruction. Kasi aminin nating lahat, napakarami nating ma-explore sa internet or sa web-based instruction. And nawa, yung web-based instruction, maging instruction lang talaga siya. Huwag siyang maging cause ng problema ng mga students. Next, we have here advantages of web-based instruction. So these are all self-explanatory. So I am going to read na lang. First, ability to link resources in many different formats. Second, can be an efficient way of delivering course materials. Next, resources can be made available from any location at any time. So, alam ko, danas nyo to, yung dinadownload nyo yung recorded discussion, yung PowerPoint, and nire-review nyo siya or binubuksan nyo siya kung kailan nyo gusto or kung kailan kayo free. Potential for widening access, for example, to part-time, mature, or work-based students. Can encourage more independent and active learning. Can provide a useful source of supplementary materials to conventional programs. And we have here disadvantages. So, mas marami yung advantages niya. Kanina yung advantages niya, 6. Ito, 5 lang yung disadvantages. So, number 1, access to appropriate computer equipment can be a problem for students. Naniniwala ko danas na danas nyo to, yung may problema kayo sa inyong mga cellphones or sa inyong laptops, naglag si laptop, naglag si cellphone, walang internet connection, di ba? Access sa appropriate computer equipment. So, disadvantage yan ng web-based instruction. Second, learning find it frustrating if they cannot access graphics, images, and video clips because of poor equipment. Ito na, yung kapag malabo ang picture, late nag-appear yung picture, and nagtatanong si teacher, nagre-recitation pero hindi pa nakikita yung picture. So, disadvantage na yun, yung video clip naglalag or mabagal. So, disadvantage na yun. The necessary infrastructure must be available and affordable. Next, information can vary in quality and accuracy, so guidance and signposting is needed. So ito na nga yung sinasabi ko kanina pa na kailangan yung guidance nating mga future educator. And from its name na future educator, nawa ay maging educator talaga tayo. I-guide natin yung mga students natin gamit yung online world, yung web-based instruction. And students can feel isolated. And we have here the differences of traditional learning and web or e-learning using information technology. So yan, sa traditional learning, that is teacher-centered instruction, while e-learning, student-centered instruction. Single sense stimulation, sa web e-learning naman, multi-sensory stimulation, multi-path progression, multimedia, collaborative work, information exchange, active or explanatory or inquiry-based learning, critical thinking and informed decision-making, authentic real-world context. Sa traditional naman, single path progression, single media, isolated work, information delivery, passive learning, factual, knowledge-based learning, and last, isolated and artificial context. So, hanggang dito lang po ang aking discussion. Nawa po ay may natutunan kayo sa aking discussion. And I hope ang lahat ay may energy pa para makinig sa mga susunod na reporter. So, ang susunod pong reporter ay i-discuss niya yung the practice of blended learning. So, thank you po. God bless.
So, for the continuation of our report, which is about e-learning or technology in alternative delivery system, we will focus in the practice of blended learning. So, we all know that the biggest impact of COVID-19 arises from the need to practice stringent social or physical distancing to prevent or mitigate its spread. The education system is one of the agencies profoundly affected by coronavirus. Around 1.2 billion students in 186 countries are out of school during the pandemic. Many nations attempt to open classes after a month of lockdown, but many fails. So, DepEd shall issue the appropriate alternative work arrangement guidelines to the field to comply with the prevailing policy and to ensure a safe work environment. So, according nga sa ating former President Rodrigo Duterte, no vaccine, no opening of classes. And from our DepEd Secretary, adapt an alternative new normal approach. So, the Learning Continuity Plan, DepEd has demonstrated three interconnected capacity that are significant linked to the future, which is first is innovation. Innovation is one of our core values. So, dito sa Learning Continuity Plan, innovation means formulating superior solution that have greater social or economical impact. Second is agility. Agility that refers to the ability to move quickly and gracefully, while synergy is a collaboration that creates an output greater or bigger than the sum of individual contribution. So, dito sa three interconnected capacity is nakafocus sa fast enough to adapt and have a head start compared to other. So, kailangan natin maging flexible, adapt adaptable, and yon, prepared always. Based dito sa tatlong interconnected capacity, kinokontra niya yung past issue ni DepEd na academic freeze because the Learning Continuity Plan Testament is there is a huge difference between formulating a solution that soonest time possible when it is needed and coming up with a near perfect solution much later when everyone has already looked elsewhere. Dito na papasok yung new normal, which is nag-formulate a solution as soon as possible. Kaya kinontra ni Learning Continuity Plan yung academic freeze ng DepEd nung bago pa yung pandemic is sayang daw yung oras. So, there will be issues or problem in the implementation of LCP, but this would provide the opportunity to redesign, which indicate further growth areas and, sustain the cycle of innovation, which is yung new normal nga. So, sulong edukalidad. Sulong edukalidad, it is the learning opportunity shall be available and learning shall continue in the time of COVID-19. It is having a goal for every learner and agency and self-actualization, work readiness, and responsible citizenship. Next is the commitment to continue providing education to our learners during this time of pandemic shall catalyze technology, upgraded and innovation in learning resources platform. So, here is the things that we may encounter in blended learning. First is technology. Technology solutions are very important in distance learning. Online platforms are regarded to the most advanced because of the ability to facilitate various interactive activities. Next is textbook. The textbook distributed to the school like self-learning module in printed or digital format, which is the soft copy or the hard copy of self-learning module. Next is the most essential learning competencies. And by releasing the MELCs, it doesn't necessarily replace the use of curriculum guides, but rather it serves as supplementary guide for teacher as they address the instructional need of the learners. It means hindi ito yung totally curriculum guide. Yung supplementary is, hindi yun totally. So, by streaming the learning competencies, the most essential, we will be able to focus more on the learning activity and resources while having sufficient time to coverage and mastery. A word that may describe an essential learning competency is endurance. It remains useful beyond a single test or unit of the study, which are essential in many professional in everyday lives. For example, is For example of such learning competencies is research skill, reading comprehension, writing, map reading, and hypothesis testing. So, next one is public health standard. So, bakit siya nandito? Public health standard in the DOH administrative order is physical distancing. So, it indicates a mandatory DepEd would need to reduce our class size to 15 to 20 learners per classroom from the present 30 to 40 learners per classroom. So, dito papasok yung limited face-to-face, which is bilang lang yung mga estudyante para sa isang classroom. So, last January 1, 2020, teacher attended an orientation and training activity. So, kaya meron orientation and training activity dyan about the learning delivery modalities. It prepares the instructional material and plan the organization of classes in consideration of the learning delivery modality to the employed to be employed. For example is this for example is this past few months nagkakaroon tayo ng mga webinar or virtual orientation sa first day of class para ma-inform natin yung mga student paano yung flow ng online class or may face-to-face ba, kung paano yung blended, ganan. Implementation of blended learning is education always plays an essential part in countries' growth and development. And to implement the blended learning, the proposed opening classes utilizing technology and modular and face-to-face and other form of instructional material upon the talks with advocates of quality education and curriculum experts from DepEd, they decide to adopt a blended learning approach. Next is the learning delivery modality that school can adapt may be one or a combination of the following depending on the COVID-19 restriction and the particular context of the learner in the school or locality. First is face-to-face. Second is distance learning. Third is blended learning. And fourth is homeschooling. First, face-to-face. This refers to a learning delivery modality where the student and teacher are both physically present in the classroom and there are opportunity for active engagement, immediate feedback, and social emotional development of the learners. So this is the most prepared learning modality na bukod sa merong active engagement, immediate feedback, and social emotional development, we still observe the health protocol like social distancing and proper wearing of face mask. So, katulad ng nabanggit ko kanina na ayon kay DOH na health standard, dito pa rin papasok yung limited lang yung nakakapasok sa isang classroom. So, next is distance learning. It refers to the learning delivery modality where learning takes place between the teacher and the learner who are geographically remote from each other during instruction. This modality has three types. First is modular distance learning. It involves the individual instruction that allows the learner to use self-learning module in print or digital format. So, commonly, ang mga elementary is hard copy yung mga pinapadala sa kanilang module with instruction. Hard copy yung textbook, activity sheet, study guide, and other study material. Sa mga high school, doon meron silang PDF file or soft copy ng mga learning module. So, in this type of modality, the student may have the access of electronic copies of learning materials, which is yung sinabi ko kanina na soft copy ng learning materials, and the teacher takes the responsibility of monitoring the progress of the learner. The learner may ask the assistance from the teacher pag meron silang gustong i-clarify about the topic or sa nabasa nilang sa module. So, next one is online distance learning that features the teacher as facilitator. Engaging learner active participation through the use of various technology, which is ito yung pinaka-familiar sa ating lahat. For this week, we have online modality. So, in online learning, it allows synchronous and asynchronous instruction. In synchronous, it requires participant to have a good and stable internet connection, and mas interactive ito kaysa dun sa isang instruction which is asynchronous, kung saan dito i-download lang nila yung material from the internet, tapos sasagutan nila yung assignment and ipapasa lang sa Google Classroom. Meron ding mga sinesend na link na papanoodin na webinar or virtual classes. Next one is TV or radio-based instruction. It utilized the self-learning modules converted to video lesson for television-based instruction and self-learning module converted to radio script for radio-based instruction. So, from these three types of distance learning, it is the most viable for independent learner and learners supported by the periodic supervision of parent or guardian. The challenge here is it will be dealing with learners not capable in independent learning. In this subject further discussion within the DepEd with partners and parents. So dito sa distance learning, mas kailangan nila ng guide. Next one is blended learning. It refers to the learning delivery that combines face-to-face with any or mix of online distance or modular distance and TV or radio-based instruction. Blended learning will enable the school to limit face-to-face learning, ensure social distancing, and decrease the volume of people outside the home. So ngayon, yung katulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina na mayroong yung sinabi ng DOH na standard health standard, which is limited lang yung sa classroom. From 40 students dati, ngayon 20 students na lang per classroom. Para ma-maintain yung social distancing ng bawat student. Kasi nasa ano pa rin tayo, may COVID pa rin. So, yon. Learning delivery option of blended learning is the ALS teacher tasked to design weekly learning plan, or agreement with their individual learners. So, kasi nga merong module, merong online. So, teacher is tasked to design weekly learning for their students. So, next one is the ALS teacher shall assign weekly assessment for evaluating their learning progress. So, for example is, ngayon meron tayong blended learning na online, na limited face-to-face and modular. So, yung si teacher, nag-iiwan sila ng mga sasagutan ni student habang nasa bahay sila. Tapos, ipapasa nila yon pag nag-face-to-face na sila. So, the other one from the learning delivery option is the teacher will review the portfolio output or learning journal or notebook entries ni student. So, ayun nga, bukod sa nagbibigay si teacher ng assessment, weekly assessment, meron din tayong portfolio kung saan dito ni teacher makikita lahat yung mga pinapagawa niya. Kung nagagawa ba ni student, kung naiintindihan niya ba, o kaya niya bang sagutan yung mga pinapagawa niya. So, next one is homeschooling. Homeschooling aims to provide learners with quality basic education that is facilitated by qualified parent, guardian, or tutor who have undergone relevant training in home-based environment. It allows the family to educate according to their personal faith, philosophy, and values. However, there remains several issues in its implementation, including the supervision or licensed teacher and align with the curriculum. So, yon. Dito pumapasok yung mga tutor, yung nagtuturo mismo yung napunta sa bahay ni student. Yon. And for the continuation is si Miss Sunshine na po for the problem and challenges in blended learning. Thank you.
So, good morning. Good afternoon, rather, everyone. I am Sunshine Sung and I am the next supporter to continue practice of blended learning, and under that is a subtopic which is problems and challenges of blended learning. So blended learning in the Philippines is still considered new and young. However, this growing demand for blended learning poses problems and challenges that are noteworthy to investigate, specifically in emerging higher education institutions, which hinder the effective and efficient delivery of teaching and learning. So, alam naman natin na bago lang sa atin ang blended learning dahil ito ay pinropose lang ng DepEd para maipagpatuloy ang pag-aaral sa gitna ng pandemya. Tulad niya na nasabi ng naunang reporter sa akin. So, hindi lingid sa kaalaman ng lahat na kapag may nabago sa sistema ay nagkakaroon syempre tayo ng problema at challenges at isa dito ay online resources. So number one is the internet connection. Isa ito sa pinaka-problema at pinaka-pinroblema ng Pilipino, mapa-estudyante, guro o magulang man dahil hindi lahat ng tao ay may internet connection. At kadalasan ay naaasa lamang tayo sa data na alam naman natin lahat na kapag SIM ang gamit natin ay mas malaki ang tsansa na hindi stable ang signal at connection natin. So next is devices. which is yung laptop, cellphone, and other gadgets tulad ng tablets para ma-access sa online or maka-access tayo sa online learning and teaching. So, hindi lahat ng teachers at pamilya ay may sapat na device para sa pag-aaral. Number 3 is ICT tools or skills. Karamihan sa atin, lalo na ang ating kaguruan, ay wala masyadong alam or kakayahan pagdating sa computer and online apps tulad ng pag-edit natin ng video or paggamit ng Photoshop at ilang online platform para sa pag-aaral. Kaya isa rin ito sa challenges ng both students and teachers para sa blended learning. So last sa online resources natin ay yung resources nga. Dahil nga bago ang sistema ay hindi pa ganoong karami ang resources ng teachers pagdating sa pagtuturo. So yan, internet connection, devices, ICT skills, at online resources or yung resources na kukuhanin natin para sa ating pagtuturo or pag-aaral. So next na problem, aside from online resources, isa pa din sa problema ng mga Pilipino ay ang offline resources tulad ng books availability. So, nung normal pa ang panahon o nung wala pang COVID, ay kulang na ang supply ng ating books. So, lalo na sa ating public schools. Siguro naman naranasan nyo ang mag-share ng libro, kaya isa ito sa pinaka-problema ng blended learning. Kulang ang libro, kaya minsan naghahati ang dalawang tao or madalas pa ay 3 tao sa isang libro. Next, sa offline resources natin ay yung students' readiness. So, ang ilan sa mga estudyante ay nasanay na sa bahay lamang at tanging pamilya lamang nila ang nakakasama nila. So, dahil nga may face-to-face ang blended learning, ay maninibago sa environment ng mga estudyante, lalo na ang mga LM students. So, narinig naman natin siguro at nakita sa balita na nung first day of school, ay marami sa ating estudyante ang nag-iyakan o halos umuwi na, lalo na ang mga estudyanteng nasa baitang 1 hanggang baitang 3. So isa pa sa tinatalakay ng students' readiness ay kung handa nga ba at kaya bang intindihin ng mag-isa ng estudyante ang mga ibibigay nating modules at kung kaya nilang sagutan ito ng walang patnubay ng kaguruan kapag tayo ay nasa modular or nasa isang side ng blended learning, which is yung offline or modular based. So, aside from resources, one of the problem is school readiness. So, is the classroom size enough for social distancing? So, dahil nga di pa din nauubos ang kaso ng COVID, ay kailangan pa din natin mag-ingat at mag-iwas or umiwas sa pagkalat nito. Kaya isa sa gawain upang mapanatiling safe ang lahat, lalo na ang kabataan or ang estudyante natin, ay ang social distancing, na hindi natin magagawa kung kulang ang space ng ating classroom. So kadalasan sa isang classroom ay may 15 to 20 or ang iba pa ay merong 40 students sa isang classroom. So hindi na natin nagagampanan yung social distancing kung magkakaroon tayo ng face-to-face na kasama na sa blended learning. Another is kung ready ba ang school sa sanitation. So karamihan kasi sa mga eskwelahan ay wala o isa lamang ang janitor o utility. para makapag-sanitize. So, isa din ito sa problema tuwing napasok ang mga bata. Dahil hindi natin pwede iasa lalo sa mga bata, pasadya ang maglinis o mag-sanitize ng classroom para sa safety ng lahat. Next is kung sapat ba ang school nurses natin para ma-monitor at handa ba sila sa kung ano man mangyari sa estudyante. Alam naman natin na hindi lahat ng school ay may nurse at ang iba pa ay teacher sadya na nia-assign lang upang may maituring na school nurse ang isang paaralan. So, paano magagampanan at masisiguro ang safetyness ng lahat kung walang school nurse or kung yung isang teacher lang ay tinalaga bilang isang school nurse? Hindi naman pwedeng iwan-iwan nila ang kanilang mga estudyante para magampanan lang nila yung pagiging school nurse nila. Next, ang pinakahuling problema na pinakaidinaing ng mga magulang noong modular pa lamang ay ang pagiging involved nila sa pag-aaral ng kanilang anak. So, hindi lahat ng magulang ay may time upang magampanan ang tungkulin nila sa pag-aaral ng bata. Isa pa, dahil nga sila ang kasama ng mga anak nila, ay sila ang mag-aasikaso sa gamit at pagkuha at pagbabalik ng modules ng kanilang mga anak. Another is willingness to teach. Kaya pinag-aaral ng mga magulang ang kanilang anak ay gusto nilang maranasan ng mga anak nila ang karapatang hindi nila nakamtan. So, ibig sabihin, hindi lahat ng magulang ay nakapag-aral. Kaya hindi kaya ng iba na turuan ang kanilang anak kahit willing pa sila na gawin ito. So, on the other hand, mayroon ding mga magulang na nagtatrabaho 8 hours o higit pa sa isang araw. Kaya, hindi sila nagkakaroon ng oras upang maturuan ng kanilang anak or makafocus sila sa pagtuturo sa kanilang anak. Next, so sa pag-usbong naman ng blended learning ay hindi lamang puro challenges at puro problema ang hatid sa atin ito. Meron ding positive impact ang blended learning. So, madami sa ating kaguruan at estudyante ang nahasa at na-improve ang kanilang ICT skills. So, nagkaroon din ng mas maraming oras ang pamilya katulad ng pagkakasabay-sabay nilang kumain, pagkakaroon ng bonding, nakakatawa sila sa nagsama-sama, at lalo-lalo na kung blended learning ang modality natin dahil mas onti ang oras ng kanilang pagpasok o school hours. Mapa-estudyante or mapa-guro man ay nagkakaroon tayo ng mas madaming oras sa bahay at kakaunti ang school hours. So, dahil nga konti ang school hours or pagpunta nila sa school ay mas safe ang bawat isa laban sa COVID. Tapos, convenient din siya kasi merong mga bata ang nalilate kapag napasok sa school. So, napaka-convenient kung blended learning kasi nakakapagturo ka ng nasa bahay or nakakapag-aral ka ng nasa bahay lamang. Hindi mo na kailangang malate or magmadali sa pag-aasikaso sa umaga upang makapasok lamang sa oras. Yun lamang po, thank you. Tutuloy po ng next reporter ang group report po namin. Thank you.
Time is changing. It is very important to be able to cope up with the ever-changing demands of time. The Philippines educational system has been facing a lot of challenges, especially with the drastic change brought by the COVID-19 pandemic. So the topic that was assigned to us is the teaching in an online environment. Let us first define what is online environment. An online environment utilizes online learning platforms that provides adaptive forms of delivering course content to students and also for them to engage individual and collaborative work. So online environment is teaching in an open online course in which all of the learning activities takes place online, which enables faculty to share knowledge with a wide range of students around the world. Zoom, Google Meet, and learning management systems are examples of online learning platforms that we can use in delivering the lessons or content in an online learning environment. In online learning environment, the student can have synchronous and asynchronous learning methods. We are already familiar to this, but to give a brief discussion, when we say synchronous learning, the students and teachers are online at the same time. There will be of real-time discussion, giving a feedback and interaction in a virtual classroom. On the other hand, students and teachers don't need to be online at the same time in a synchronous class. Students will accomplish tasks online on their own pace. Now, what is online learning? Online learning includes a number of computer-assisted instruction methods. Online teaching and learning is faculty-delivered instruction via internet. It also includes real-time and anytime, anywhere interactions. So, in other words, online teaching and learning refers to education that takes place all over the internet. Various methods such as one-on-one video calls or group calls and webinars. So there are two parallel processes that takes place in an online environment. One is students become more active and reflective learners. So as we observe, students nowadays are very literate in using different kind of technologies. Second, students and teachers engage in learning through the use of technology and become more familiar with technology by using it. So we are now living in the 21st century. It is expected that as a teacher, we know how to navigate and use the different technologies, especially those that is being used in an online learning. So, what are the advantages of online teaching? First, online teaching can allow you to experiment with techniques only available in online environments such as threaded discussions and web lithographies. As a teacher, it is important that we know how to manipulate and navigate the technologies, and it is also important that we allow ourselves to know some techniques that is available online. Next advantage is it provides ideas and techniques to implement in traditional courses. So we can discover some skills that we need to know in order to take advantage of the online teaching and learning. Now, what are the disadvantages or challenges of, of teaching in an online environment? First one is familiarity with the online environment. Next is capacity to use the medium to its advantage. And last is being available to students on an extended basis electronically. So some didn't know how to use laptops, not familiar in different technologies, but since they are teachers, they need to embrace the use of technology. So, alam naman natin na since nag-start yung online class, hindi lang students yung may malaking adjustment na ginawa. Even teachers, malaki rin yung adjustment na kanilang ginawa, lalo na if ang teachers naman ay hindi techie or hindi masyadong magaling sa paggamit ng iba't ibang technology. So, as a teacher, kailangan nilang i-embrace yung use ng technology dahil teaching in online environment is a must nowadays.
Good day everyone, my name is Bea Andre P. Malabanan from BSED Mathematics and I'm here to continue our report. So my report is all about community of inquiry based. So community of inquiry based is a group of individuals who are collaboratively engaged in purposeful critical discourse and reflection to construct personal meaning and confirm mutual understanding. It is an educational community of inquiry. So, the community of inquiry model of online learning was developed in early 20s by 3 researchers, and they are Garrison, Anderson, and Archer. So, it focuses on how people learn together online in an interactive way, so by sharing and developing knowledge together. So we have 3 components or the level of presences. The first one is social presence, second one is cognitive presence, and the third one is teaching presence. So these 3 components are interdependent to create a deep and meaningful learning experience. And the entire idea of this is to create a group of individuals who are engaging in the purposeful critical discussion and reflection to construct personal meaning and also to confirm mutual understanding on the subject. So, first one to discuss is social presence. So, social presence is ability of participants to identify with the community, communicate purposefully in a trusting environment, and develop interpersonal by way of protecting their individuals' personalities. So, the social presence deals with engagement with other participants, and this also refers to the ability of the same participants to project their individual personalities. So, as to develop an interpersonal relationship, it is by actively engaging with the community. So, in social presence, the key factors that come under this will be the ability to collaborate, the ability to communicate, and also the ability to work as a team. So, this is done so that the student will have a platform to express their views regarding the topic, and this will improve the value of learning once implemented. So, most importantly, the social presence will encourage collaboration with other students. This will enhance learning experience to a much better level than the traditional method of learning. Second one is cognitive presence. It is the extent to which learners are able to construct and confirm meaning through sustained reflections and discourse. So, cognitive presence ensures engagement with the content where a student can construct and confirm the meaning of what they learn through sustained reflection and discussion. So, cognitive skills are really important for our brain as it will force you to think, to listen, to learn, and to identify what you are dealing with much more effectively. So, cognitive presence is incorporated in this method of learning, so mainly to challenge or question the knowledge that is acquired from the social interactions. So this can also help to explore problems related to the things that we discussed earlier in the social presence. So this process of the community of inquiry model is also very important as the information is shared and discussed by bringing up new ideas and also improving on the existing ones. So last one, we have teaching presence. So teaching presence is the design, facilitation, and direction of cognitive and social processes of the purpose of realizing personally meaningful and educationally worthwhile learning outcomes. So, for any method of learning, having someone or a group of experienced people that can help you guide is very important. So, teaching presence mainly deals with the overall design and direction of other presences in the system, like social and cognitive presence. With teaching presence, the mainly aim of this presence is to provide a guide for the team and also someone that can help to coordinate things and also motivate the learners in the group. So this part of community of inquiry method learning also help to initiate discussion on various new topic and will improve the overall efficiency of the academic activity of the participant in the group. So to sum things up, the inquiry-based model is the approach of learning that gives more attention to the role of student in the learning process, which is how the learning processes should be. So I have a video here on how this framework or how each other is interrelated with one another.
So this video will talk about a framework called the Community of Inquiry Framework that has become really popular and helpful in guiding research and design of online environments. So the framework identifies 3 types of presence. We have social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. And what's also nice about this framework is it talks about how each one is interrelated with one another. The full reference to the article is here, and they also have a really helpful website. If you just Google Community of Inquiry, it should be the first hit. We're going to talk about each one of these individually. So to start with, cognitive presence, without going into too much detail, is essentially students' ability to construct knowledge and understanding both individually and collectively, and using sustained communication to develop a better understanding of the content. We also have teaching presence. So teaching presence is the teacher's ability to set the curriculum, organize the course, and also participate in the meaning making that students are going through. They also have a direct impact on cognitive presence because they're the ones that are really regulating the learning of the students and making sure that they go through the processes that they need to go through in order to understand the content and make their own meaning of the material. Then we have social presence. Social presence predates the Community of Inquiry framework by quite a bit. And basically what social presence is it talks about how participants can establish themselves as real people in a course. And they do that by portraying their full personality in an online environment. So this has a lot to do with what they're using to communicate. So if it's text, it can happen, and Garrison and his colleagues have shown that you can establish a high level of social presence using text, but it can also be more it can be easier to do that using video or audio or things like that. But it's important as well to show the relationship between teaching presence and social presence. So typically in this framework, social presence is referred to as something that the students do or that the students have. However, with teaching presence, it's the teacher that sets the climate that really allows students to feel safe and to communicate naturally and really have the opportunities to express their personality in a learning environment. Also, teachers need to model that behavior, and that's part of setting the climate. So teachers also have a type of social presence, and some research has shown that teacher social presence can actually be more important to a student than their peers' social presence. So social presence is also really important because if you're expecting them to communicate about course-related topics, they need to feel comfortable with one another. And so Garrison and this framework basically says that a certain level of social presence can be a prerequisite for cognitive presence or for a high level of learning to occur. And that's really the contribution that they've made with social presence. Like I said, they didn't invent the concept, but they've really shown how it's interrelated with teaching presence and cognitive presence. And basically, they also say that when all 3 of these presences are together, that's when students are going to have the best educational experience, and that all 3 are necessary. So a lot of times in an online environment, we ignore the social presence and focus on the content and content interactions and things like that. But we really also have to remember that learning is a human process, and it's a social process. And so we have to have social presence in our courses in order to have a high level of cognitive presence.
So this is the 3 important roles of a teachers in creating teaching presence. So number 1 is design and organization of the learning experiences. Second one is engaging in a variety of direct, instruction, individual in adding subject matter experiences, and devising and implementing activities to encourage discourse and interaction between and among students, between the teachers and the students, and between individual students, group of teachers, and content resources. And now we have learning management system. So what is learning management system? So it is a software application for the administration, documentation, tracking, reporting, and delivery of educational resources, training programs, or learning and development programs. So we have tools and resources of learning management system. So here are example. So workspace or every learning management system provides this specific tool. So my workspace is a place where you can keep personal documents, create new sites, maintain a schedule, store resources, and much more. Next one is announcement tool. So it is another learning management tool where online teacher may use to post announcement for the class. So usually the class is alerted to check regularly the announcement for an update or for another important notice. Next one is resources. It is the tool designed to serve as repository for all instructional material such as journal articles, PowerPoint lecture presentation, videos, and any other name but serve as the same purpose. Next one is syllabus. This tool is where online courses syllabus is posted. Some learning management system provide a template for this tool and online teacher simply fills up the required information such as title of the course, code course, learning outcomes, class schedule, and course description. Next one is chat room. This is virtual classroom where the teacher and student meet in real time. This is a tool where synchronous communication takes place. All chat transcripts are recorded and the online teacher can retrieve them for review. And we have discussion forum. This is another learning management system tool where asynchronous communication between the teacher and the student and between and among online student can take place. So another learning management system can call particular tool as discussion board. Next one is assessment tool. Online teacher can likewise give an online test. This is assessment tool help teacher to organize and post several types of tests. And last one is whisper button. Teacher may use this tool to communicate to a particular student or a group of students for any particular message intended only for them and not for the entire class. That's all my report. I hope you learned something and the next topic will be discussed by my group mates. Thank you po.
Good day, everyone. I am Danica May Remo, together with Harisa Ginoche, and we will discuss about online course design. So first, what comes to your mind if you heard the online course? Please let us know your comment in the chat box. And then, first, as technology advances and the students' population changes, more faculty are considering online course delivery. Part of the appeal of online learning is the flexibility of time and space. So as we all know that online learning or OL can reduce the waste of time of the students like going to school and going back home. Online learning can make students engage with the course material wherever they are or whatever time is most convenient for someone who has work, families, or unable to go to campus. So for faculty planning to teach a well-designed online course, it is important to consider first is content development for a well-designed online course is more time-consuming due to a greater need to create rich media that stimulates virtual interaction. It is time-consuming in a way that you must make a visual presentation that makes students or the learner engage and interact. For example, is our reporting or presentation when we are taking online class. We consume a lot of time because we do a lot of things that will make our classmates or listener engage and interact with it. Unlike when we are face-to-face, we manage our time when discussing or presenting. And the next one is instructors must learn how to use the technologies and integrate a diverse set of technology and tools into the online environment. Professors must know how to use different technologies as we are now in the 21st century, where we are not only into a traditional way of teaching. So the teacher must know how to operate a laptop, set up a projector, and so on. We are not only using the traditional way, which is the paper and pen or the blackboard and chalk. So the third one is discussion is more natural in face-to-face environment. Therefore, instructors must intentionally build in similar engagement opportunities. So even if it is in online learning, a teacher must build an environment where students feel that they are taking course in a face-to-face situation. Next is, many online learning can reach students from other countries and cultures. Careful consideration must be given to diverse demographics and backgrounds when designing course content. So giving examples in your classes must be realistic, but always think of your students because a student's background, because some example might be inappropriate uh, to someone in your class. And the next one is significant effort is necessary to create a feeling of community and prevent students from feeling isolated. So, instructor must put so much effort where everyone engage or interact in every sessions, because we all know that sometimes learners might think that they are not belong to the group. So, let us tackle about planning or designing your course. So, we have 5 steps in planning or designing your course. First is organize course information, develop learning objectives, plan an assessment strategy, design instructional materials and activities, and the step 5 and the last one is review and evaluate. So after this discussion, we will play a short minute video for you to know more about the uh, open and distance e-learning of University of the Philippines Open University OUPOU. So, for example, in the UPOU, they organize course information in a one list where you can be able to find or choose between any other courses. For example, they have courses about education or engineering and so on. So, a key step of the design process is designing your learning objectives. These objectives will provide a foundation for the courses and guide you in making appropriate curriculum and assessment choices. Clearly expressing the objectives and outcomes informs learners as to what is expected of them, and allowing them to monitor their performance and learning against these objectives and outcomes. Hmm. This excuse me. This mapping provides a foundation for learners to achieve learning objectives and ensures the instructor is building a learning experience uh, consistent with the intended learning outcomes. So, for the second is preparing or developing your course. This is the second of the 3 phases, including designing, building, and teaching online courses. So the 3 steps in phase 2 are choose a Husky City course structure. So we will disregard the Husky ICT. We will focus on UPOU or the for University of the Philippines Open University. Build your modules, activities, assessment, assignments, and content for the step 2. So for the step 3 is review and evaluate. UPOU course structure, they will list the courses based on their aligned field, and after that learners can apply or enroll to the said courses. And after that, they will build modules, activities, assessments, and content. So after that, they will revise and evaluate the courses whether it is past the curriculum or not. So the last is teaching your course. In this phase, the process is to teach the course na. So first is finalize your syllabus. So the last process is about the time where you can finalize the syllabus wherein, as we all know, that syllabus contains the topics to be discussed in a specific span of time. So the step 2 is about reviewing eCampus knowledge-based articles about teaching online. So after that, the step 3 is review and evaluate. So you must review and evaluate the processes you made for you to be able to teach the online courses. And the next slide will be discussed by our co-presenter, Harissa Ginoche. And that's all. Thank you.
So, as the continuation of Danica's report, online course design has 4 expert strategies for designing an online course. First strategy is involve the learner. So, Miss Grace, can you please read the first strategy? Thank you. So, you need to involve your learners for them to know and relate to the topic that we are discussing. It is not good na ipabasa or ipanood mo lang ang iyong recorded discussion. Kasi nga 'di ba, online lang naman. It is much better kung isasali natin sila sa discussion. Like for example, while we are discussing, we will be having a recitation. Para mas makinig sila kasi 'di ba, sino ba naman ang di kakabahan kapag sinabing may recitation. Then, after the discussion, we will be having an activity to assess them and to know what they learned. Kasi di ba nga may kasabihan tayong, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. Alam kong paulit-ulit nyo na itong naririnig, pero that's true. Kaya nga minsan mas tanda natin ang ginawang activities kaysa sa topic. After the first strategy, we are moving to the second strategy, which is make collaboration work. So, Ms. Risha, can you please read? Yan. Thank you, Ms. Risha. So, after involving the learners in our discussion, the next phase is to increase collaboration between peers. Sino na nga ba dyan ang maraming kaklaseng kaibigan? Di ba halos lahat ng klase magkakaibigan na? Marami tayong nakaklose na kaklase during our online class. Yes, it is hard and challenging for our instructors to feel that collaboration in an online environment. But it is a way to reach out our classmates. Like for example, sa thesis. Di ba kahit through social media nakakagawa tayo ng may pagtutulungan nga ba? Sa ibang activities na groupings like video presentation, sige, wag na tayo lumayo pa. Dito na lang tayo sa reporting. Diba may collaboration na naganap? Mahirap kung iisipin ang i-apply ang collaboration through online. But through the use of simple strategies, collaboration can be a seamless and beneficial approach to course design. Okay, the third strategy is to develop a clear, consistent structure. So, the course's look can be intentionally inviting, intentionally disinviting, unintentionally inviting, or unintentionally. Marami tayong na-encounter ng mga teachers na may iba't ibang strategies of teaching. Some of them are inspiring and some of them are not. Minsan may mga strategies ang teacher natin na mas naiintindihan natin ang topic na yon. It is depend on how our instructor delivered or teach their lesson. Like for example, ang math. Di ba marami sa atin ang kinakabahan o natatakot kapag math ang usapan? Pero may mga teacher tayong hinahangaan sa pagtuturo ng math kasi nga mas naiintindihan natin ang tinuturo nila dahil sa kanilang strategy of teaching na ginamit. Sabi nga, a good education can change anyone. A good teacher can change everything. I relate it to this strategy kasi nga teachers can change our perspective to the course or courses. After developing a clear, consistent structure, the next is reflect and revise our fourth strategy. So, Miss Jessica, can you please read it? So, yun nga. After all the strategy that we mentioned a while ago, we need to reflect to know if our teaching strategies are effective. At kung hindi, dito na papasok ang revise or revision, kung saan iisip tayo ng mas effective na way para matuto ang ating learners. For example, nagpa-exam tayo after the discussion, and most of our students got a low score. Kaya iisipin natin kung ano ba ang problema at hindi nila masyadong naintindihan. Then after that, gagamit naman tayo ng ibang strategies that can make them easily understand the topic. Through the assessment, malalaman natin kung effective ba ang teaching strategies na ginamit natin. Tapos, saka natin babaguhin pag may problema tayong nakita. That's the 4 expert strategies for designing an online course. I hope you learned something. That's all. Thank you.